Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I hope everybody can hear me, which would be remarkable if we got all the technical things sorted out on the first try. Excellent. Amazing. Wow, I did not think that this was going to work on the first try. I'm just flabbergasted. So expect something else to go horribly, horribly, horribly wrong later. But welcome. Welcome to this year's 5 hours of power. Hope everybody is stretched, limbered up, caffeinated if you need it, because you're going to be hurting this year. As you can see, we have a beautiful view of all of the previous amazing creations that were here. The amazing, beautiful, fantastic, phenomenal Manic that kicked this whole thing off at the very first winner that really set a high bar that I don't think anybody has ever managed to come close to. We got some B&M invert of some sort that's just kind of sitting there. Then we had the year that we had to do a couple of coasters at the same time, where we did a shuttle and a wooden coaster that had to go through that canyon over there. Those came out spectacular and very creative things with the shuttle. Especially loved the overbanked spike. That was awesome. Coming back to year number 4, we had the capacity challenge hiding over here, which remarkably managed to pull out a very high capacity. Didn't have to jump over the water and had a pretty good all-around coaster. And then, of course, the thing that gives people nightmares and terror is the mile of spaghetti in the middle of the lake there, which was, I admit, the hardest thing that we ever threw at people because it was a bit much. Uh, so sorry for last year, but hey, we still got some great rides out of it, and the winning coaster was very deserving. So, well, why am I all the way up here? Because I have a very high view. Why am I so high above the park? Well, what's this? What could this be? This, as you may recognize, well, thank you very much for Tim Vandersteen for donating this structure and allowing us to use this. This is going to be your challenge this year. Polar coasters. So, and also thank you to Tim. He has volunteered. He will be a judge as the person who's created the most successful polar coaster and the most successful video, No Limits 2 video ever with millions and millions of views. We're going to bring him in as a guest judge for this competition. So let's see how the rules are going to shape up for this competition. You may notice there's a very prominent red ring. Let's learn what that ring means. So the idea here is that yes, you're going to be building polar coasters. You need to build a roller coaster, just one, has to attach to this tower following a few rules. Now, for those rules, you can use any style of track that you want. It has to attach realistically to the structure. Once you get above this ring, all track you build above the height of this ring must do two things. One, be attached to the structure and the structure only, so it cannot touch the ground. And two, it cannot go beyond the red ring. So when we look at it from overhead, you cannot go past the edges of the red ring. When all track that you build that is below that red ring, you can attach to the ground. You can put whatever supports on it that you want. You can spread it out in any direction that you want and go as far as you want. You'll be fine. But once you go above this red ring, you need to stay inside of it. You can build inside the tower. That is perfectly acceptable. The template map that we're going to give you is going to have this topper hidden. It will be there. It'll just be hidden so that way it won't be in the way of your building. You can use as much of this tower as you want. You can go as high as you would like or you feel daring. Keep in mind, though, you have to stay below this beam at the top. You cannot go higher than that. So you can't go into the topper area. You can't go above this height. Now there is you'll notice down here we got a little yellow box. I'm bringing back the good old capacity counter. This is very easy to use as always. Just place it on some coaster track and it will count the capacity for you. What capacity are we looking for this year? Well, we feel that this ride is going to be very popular, especially the way that it's just going to be sitting here lording it right over Centurion and really just kind of towering over it. So it's going to need a pretty high capacity. 1,200 riders an hour is what we're looking for. Also, we have a limitation of only 16 riders per train. So that's going to be a little bit challenging to be able to have a lot of trains dispatching frequently. To get your trains up to the top, you can use any combination of lift hills, launches, friction tires, curved lifts, curved chain lifts, whatever you want to do to get it up there. The only rule is once you have gotten it up to its maximum height, that is it. No additional boosters to carry it higher or transports or lift hills. You get one mechanism of some sort that will get you up to the top of the tower. And then once you're there, all gravity and whatever else you need to get it down, but you're not going any higher without, or no help to get any higher from there. For your lift hills, you don't have to make it one continuous lift hill because I know we're going to be asking for a lot of individual cars. You can have multiple lift hill segments kind of lined up sequentially so that way you get additional blocks on your lift hill. That's all going to be perfectly acceptable. So let me go ahead and open up the actual contest map because I want to walk you guys through a couple of things there. So we're going to go ahead and jump into the editor, and let me close this. We're going to open the actual park itself. Nope, I opened the same park, of course. That works great. So once it takes a few moments to load all of those parks, all those coasters, I will go and open the correct one. Sorry about that. So while we're waiting, any questions so far? I'm going to be looking at YouTube and the Discord channel to see what people have in mind and what they would like to ask us, or ask me since I'm the only one here. Any questions? Of course, there's a delay between the stream and once it gets out there, so let's take a look and see when we get there. Can the station be outside the ring? Yes, you can put the station anywhere you want on the land, just as long as you're not crashing through other coasters or through the land. The station can be outside the ring, yes. Code, can you make a 4D? Of course, you should. Zonies, why? Because. Can you recolor the tower? Good question. Yes, you may. You can definitely recolor that. Since there can't be two lift hills as a Mobius coaster possible, then you would only want the one. Can you go above the ring outside the ring? Joseph, no. Once you're above the ring, you have to stay within the ring. And really, that's for your own good, because it would be rather difficult otherwise. All right, so if you look very closely at the file name I'm pulling up this time, you'll see I've already kind of given a nice template. Please do us a favor. It really helps if before you get working on it, you rename the file with your name and your coaster's name, because otherwise there's a lot of data entry and file correction naming I have to do afterwards. So I gave the template in there, 5hop6, leave that at the beginning, the name of your coaster, and then you, the designer. If everybody could do that, that would really make life a lot easier for me afterwards. So we're going to go ahead and open up the actual contest map. Can lift hill support be attached to the ground? Until you pass the red ring, yes it can, and then at that point your lift hill supports need to be attached to the tower. All right, so now I've actually opened up the proper park map that you're going to be working from. So you can see it's a lot simpler. We have everything. In fact, we already have the coaster that you're going to be working off of unfrozen and ready to go. The red ring is there. Everything else in the park is missing except for this little thing here that is, I had to include it. I would have deleted it happily, but it's kind of near where some people might venture, so I had to leave it in there since you can't crash into it. So once again with the tower, now you'll notice on the coaster tab, there's a few things that are left here. We do have Centurion, leave that alone. We have the template, that is the red ring, do not make any changes there. We have the topper, which is there, and you can play with it and recolor it if you want, but I made it a separate hidden wireframe coaster so that way you can get it out of the way when you don't need it. The one that should be chosen by default is 5hop contest template. That is the one you are going to use, the 5hop contest template. Why? Because that is the one that these supports are in, and you have to build your coaster off of these supports. So you're going to be using beam nodes to try and get connected to that support structure anywhere you want. Let's take a look from the top view to give you an idea of the judging and kind of explain a couple more rules. If I can click on the right things. All right, so top view. There you can see the red ring. So once again, once you are higher than the elevation of that red ring, which is about 50 feet above the ground, once you're higher than that, all of the track that you build must be anchored to the support structure of the tower, only the tower. Okay, you have to build your supports only off the tower. If any track is if you have where the support connects to the track, if you have any instances of that happening where that support connector then goes down to the ground, it does not touch the tower, then it will be disqualified. Once you are above this red ring, all of your track in a frozen state must stay within this red ring. You can go in and out of the tower as much as you want. And under the red ring, yes, you can build absolutely anywhere you want to build. You can go as far as you want. You'll be pretty exhausted and tired, but you can go as far as you want in any direction. You can delete all these trees as much as you want to create all of the space for your station, transfer tracks, and all that stuff. There's a requirement, by the way, you do need to have enough storage for all of the trains that you're going to use. Laid out a couple things in the rules to help out. Tower is about 300 feet tall. Can supports go outside of the ring? We need to keep everything inside of the ring. Supports included. So keep everything inside of that red ring and attach to that tower. Do we have to have a specific amount of track above the ring? No, you do not. We don't have a limitation on the minimum amount of track that you have to use. The only limitation is you cannot go higher than the top of the tower, and above that ring you need to attach to the tower. Otherwise, we have no restriction on how much track you're going to include, how many inversions, any of that. Go nuts, do as much as you want. Good question. Can you go underground before the lift hill? There are no rules about tunnels. This time you can go underground if you'd like. So, minimum dispatch times. That is a good question. Inside of the park, under the park settings, the full rules are there. And inside the full rules, there's a lot of helpful information, including, when we get down far enough, you're going to see for reference, because of the capacity of 1,200 riders an hour, with a maximum of 16 riders per train. For reference, if you only have 4 riders per train or car, it would require a train to pass that counter every 12 seconds. For 8 riders, it'd be every 24 seconds. For 12 riders, it'd be every 36 seconds. And for 16 riders, it would be every 48 seconds. So dispatch times is a bit more complicated. You can use double stations. You can use separate unload and load. You can have a combination of those things. Anything you want that allows you to both have a realistic amount of time for people to get in and out of the cars and move the trains through fast enough so that wherever you put that counter, trains are going to pass by it fast enough to get you the capacity that you need. So let's see here. I'm going to go through as many here. 1,200 people an hour is kind of high capacity. Unfortunately, we're going to keep it at that mark. Don't want to make it too easy. It just means that you need to have a lot of trains going by, and you have to figure out and a fair number of block breaks on your way down the tower, which, if you've watched any of the tower polar coasters out there, you know there's a lot of breaks, because when you have 300 feet of energy and you can't make big gargantuan drops, you're going to have to bleed off some of that energy, which you're going to do using brakes, which become block breaks, which then are going to separate your track into sections that are about 20 seconds each, which makes it easy to run a lot of cars. So that part isn't going to be it. Can you make one station have 40-second dispatches? Yeah, you can do that. 16 rider per train, 40-second dispatch, that'd do it. So there's a couple of different ways to do that. Where can I check my capacity when I attach the box? It will show up in the console. So it'll just spit out the data as it goes by. It checks 11 trains. The first train starts the timer. The next 10 trains will clock intervals of how long it took to go by, and at the end it will compute the average time it took for that to go by. Can you twist in and out of the tower as many times as you want? Yes. Go crazy. In and out, inside, outside, all the way around. Go crazy with that one. Can I make every track segment a lift? Up until you get to as high as you want to go, and then at that point, no more lift segments, because only one section to get to the top. Can you fake a rolling station? You'd have to use some scripting to do that. We're asking that you do not use scripts made elsewhere. Just use the prepackaged things inside of NoLimits. One other thing that's in here, we've got a couple helpful things in the judging criteria. We've got that and disqualification criteria lined up in the rules this year. So we're going to be judging on 5 things this year. Creativity, which is going to be judging your use of the tower. How creative and how much fun, how good of a job you did of making the tower interesting. If you went up, did one drop all the way to the ground with lots of breaks, and that was it, then you wouldn't get a very high score. But if your tower was pretty densely packed with the creative design inside of it, then you'll get a very high score there. Operations, it'll look at making capacity, how your trains are stacking afterwards. General train movement, do they all keep stopping at the block breaks? Do they keep moving forward on their own? Did you design enough storage for everything? Is all those cars that you need? Do you need to have adequate storage? And can your coaster recover from an e-stop? We'll look at realism, which is forces, track shaping, support quality and density and adequacy, everything there. Did you do a good job building the coaster portion and support on that one? We're going to be looking at, sorry for the typo here, supports are actually in their own category this year, support adequacy, clearance, design, and density. Do they look like they will make sense? Finally, fun. Pacing, variety of elements, original layout elements. If you're just doing S-curves or just loops around the outside of the tower over and over again, it's going to get boring. So, lots of blocks. Do you have to go to the top of the tower? You do not have to go all the way to the top of the tower if you're not feeling that brave, because there's a lot of height that you have to deal with here. The higher you go, of course, the better it's going to go. Custom block scripting allowed if you can write the scripts out in time. Yes, but we're trying to avoid people using things from outside of this one. No custom scripts. What is the dispatch time for unload and load setup? The problem is that that's a complicated question. If you just have a single station, then you want as much load time as you can for the train. You probably want to get at that 40-second mark, 45-second mark. If you're doing double stations, then you can reduce it a little bit. It has to kind of feel realistic. We don't have a hard number on it. Your best bet is going to be a dual station, because when you have two stations, you essentially have twice as much time to load each train. And if you do an unload and load in both in the dual stations, or you do the stacked load in both stations, then you get even more time for each train to be loaded before it is sent through. And using a couple of block breaks, you can take care of the timing of getting the trains up the tower. All right, I'm ready for additional questions. Anybody else? Can I get the map? The link for the map will go live on our Facebook, and I'll get it posted to No Limit Central and in the Discord channel as soon as the beginning of the contest starts. Frozen track, frozen supports cannot go outside of the red ring when you're above that mark. Trains, yes. Can you build elements taller than the ring outside of the ring towards the end? Anything taller than the ring does need to stay attached to the tower. And we're going to look at that from the side. Minimum height or length above the red ring? No. Can trains go outside the circle if the track is inside? Yes. Change friction. Please, if that's what you need, but really you should be controlling it using brakes. Can I get an invite to the Discord? We posted it to our Twitter channel just a minute ago. The link to submit is included in the rules, plus with an hour to go on Facebook, the link will be provided there, but the entry form is right here. Now, keep in mind, you are going to have to upload it somewhere. Make sure you know where you're going to upload it and give yourself enough time to test your final entry. So, is it all right? All the supports need to be attached to the tower structure. Above that ring, yes. Say no prepackaged scripts, but you said verbally prepackaged. Prepackaged means you downloaded somebody else's scripts. We're really trying to avoid custom scripting. Stick with what the main thing is. The only thing that we wouldn't be able to prevent is if you were able to type fast enough to write it. But let's just not get into that. No scripts. How do we submit it? I answered that. Second, Rafflecopter. I missed the question that went by on that one. Okay. Yeah, let's go with no scripts. The rules do say no scripts, so no scripts. All right, any additional questions? Custom track trains. You don't have time? We're not going to judge any work done with custom track or trains. We're going to be just viewing the coaster itself. Any theming code doesn't matter. It's going to be ignored. So any lighting, any effects, any show buildings that are put around the tower, all that stuff will be ignored. We're just looking at the coaster. Bonus points for providing tribute to Centurion. Not really, but you'll get credit from us in our heart. Let's see, any additional questions here? Any limits on the amount of launches and lifts? No, but there's no limit to how many you use. But the one thing there is once you get to the top of the tower, no more additional things giving you extra height. So You can have a lot of launches to get you up there or multiple lifts chained together so that you can keep that 12-second interval time and have lots of blocks. When you get as high as you're going to go, that's it. No more launches, lifts, or whatever that are going to carry you any higher. We're not going to look at any fire effects or anything like that. That's not going to influence your score. Where can you download the park? Good question. That link will go live again on Facebook as soon as the contest starts officially in about another 9 minutes. Can you have transports on the mid-course breaks? Yes, you can. But they shouldn't be adding any height. Yes, you can change the color of the tower. In fact, actually, all you have to do is just change the color of the supports. So you'll see, when you get into the coaster properties, yeah, you can go ahead and change the support, any of the colors that you want in here. They're all set to white to start with. Go ahead and change it to whatever you want. That's fine. What I did was I've actually did a custom color for each of the support towers, so it should already be set to a custom color. That way you can kind of tell your supports away from the original supports. But yes, Tim is correct. It does have to be blue and white. Tim knows. We've had a long running gag about that as I've been teasing him forever. Can you build a lift hill in the middle of the tower as long as supports are connected? Yes, absolutely. Will you add the newer Premier launch coaster with the new trains found on rides such as Skyrocket, Full Throttle West Coast Racers? I can't answer that. That's not part of this particular question or for this contest. But the bottom line is that everybody's favorite train style that has been requested is on our eventual to-do list. We don't know the priority. We don't have anything that we're going to announce at this time of what we're working on next. I bought NoLimits 2 years ago. How can I re-download it? I'm sorry, out of luck. You're going to have to buy it 3 more times for you to be able to use it once. Can I change the beam widths of the tower supports? That is a very good question. Those main tower supports, no, do not change the beam widths for those. Do not alter them or edit them in any way. When is the RMC update coming out? I don't know. We keep getting the next time I get asked about it, that's it. I'm just going to stop working on the RMCs. Can you make the tower supports thicker? No. Any additional questions? Yep. Will we add people and wing coasters? Yeah, people are a big challenge. We keep poking at it, but there's a lot of things going on there. When will the Golden Horse update be released? As soon as TogoFan finishes working on it. Why do I torture you? Well, it's fun, honestly. One across dive coaster, you can't really do that. Dive coasters are going to be require at least 2 rows, and that puts you at 20, so you're already over the limit. Are you allowed to have an underground station? No, keep the station above the ground, please, for simplicity's sake. When will Patrick be added to the game? I think Patrick's put enough hours into it that he has become part of the game. So the coaster, good question, Ethan. When you are above the height of this red ring, the coaster needs to stay within the red ring, and all track that you build above this red ring must connect to the tower. It cannot touch the ground. Okay. After and that's once you're higher than that red ring. When you are below that red ring, you can go in any direction. You can have supports that touch the ground. They don't have to touch the tower anymore. You can go anywhere, over here, over there, all around. You can, hover above this thing, whatever that is, and have a lot of fun with it. For fun, I added a path here that just kind of leads up from down below. You don't have to worry about that. Go ahead and place your stations wherever you want. We'll make adjustments later so that the path eventually leads to whatever the final winner is. Because, of course, as always, the final winner's coaster will be added permanently to the 5 Hours of Power Park. Can a train go outside the red ring while the track stays in it? Yes. Why a polar coaster? We haven't done it, and it's something that Very few people have done, and no one has done for years of the people that have done it. So absolutely nobody is good at this, which means everybody's on a level playing field. So the no big airtime hill away from the tower, you can, just as long as the track and the supports for that airtime hill do not go past the edge of the red ring, you can have the train peek out if you want. Track can still go up on its own momentum. I don't know what you're asking. Restate that question, Dark Sludge. Are you allowed to brace the main tower more? Yes, you may. So the station can be away from the ring, but the lift has to go through the ring and reach the top. Yes, that is correct. We can go inside and outside of the tower, right? Yes, definitely. You'll need to use the inside of that tower. Do you judge on manufacturer shaping or does it not matter? We don't care. Height limit above the ground. We don't want tracks to go across the... You can... There's no height limit in relation to the ground. Just make sure that you're not crashing into things. Said no uphill brakes. Yeah. Well, Code tried uphill brakes last year. We didn't explicitly forbid it, but it dropped his realism score. So the park will be, it's going to be a specific download link that from a Google Drive that will be available in, then look on our Facebook page. I've got a post automatically timed. It will happen there shortly. Can you go higher than the top of the tower? Good question. No. You got to stay under this line here at the top of the tower. For those who don't have Facebook, I will repost the link to download on NoLimits Exchange. Okay, last questions. Everybody, please get your final questions ready right now because I'm about to end this so that everybody can start building. Get your final questions going. Can the trains go above the tower? Don't push it. Why hasn't the stream broken? That's a really good question. Tower is, you got about 300 feet, a little over 300 feet of space there. Can we have more than one lift? Only until you get to the maximum height. Once you get as high as you're going to go, no more lifts. So one trip up to the top and then come on down. Is there a deadline? You'll have exactly 5 hours. May the tower be altered in any way other than extra supports? No. Those main tower pieces there, those main support columns, do not change them, alter them, make them higher or lower, move them around. They keep those exactly where they are. Does the rule apply to launches as well? Same thing with launches. If you decide you're going to launch to get to the top, you can have as many launches going up as you want until you get near as high as you're going to go. And then at that point, don't go any higher. You can't do something to go any higher. Can you use custom LSM launches? Define. I've got the link ready to post on Discord as soon as we hit time. Okay, everybody. Thank you very much. Go. Have fun. Have a good time. Enjoy it. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure, and I'll be happy to listen in on the voice chat as we go along. Good luck. Stay hydrated. Stay loose and limber. Try not to swear so much on the live audio chat, and go for it. Thank you very much.